This video does not endorse, promote, or glorify any form of illegal or harmful activity. Hey guys, young Psychonaut here, back at it again with another video, and today I'm just gonna talk about some recent experience that I had, some recent experiments that I did regarding mixing low amounts of psychedelics. So basically in the last few weeks I have been experimenting with mixing low amounts of psychedelics here and there. So before I get into the story, I just want to have a little warning at the beginning of this video, specifically about taking psychedelics. So psychedelics can be very safe, but there are definitely instances where it is definitely not recommended to take psychedelics. For example, if you're very young, psychedelics can have a very, very big negative impact on you. It can really fuck with the development of your brain, but most of all, it can give you HPPD, hallucination persistent perception disorder, which means that you'll get basically visuals even after the trip is over. And there's another moment where you have to ask yourself if psychedelics are right for you, and that is if your family has any kind of psychosis, bipolar, schizophrenia, any of those type of mental disorders that are very impactful, or like somebody has seizures in your family, that can really be a sign that you should not take psychedelics, because you can be genetically predispositioned to get these kinds of things. But let's say your family has none of this, like my family, for example, has none of these mental disorders or any of these types of things. Nobody has ever had a psychosis, nobody has ever had epilepsy, etc., etc. But I do want to say, be careful with that, and also with age. I started using psychedelics maybe a little too early, around 18, and I do have HPPD. I do have visuals that are also there when I'm sober. It's extremely, extremely minor. It's mostly when I have my phone in front of me and I move it around in the dark, I see extremely long tracers for the screen that's lighting up. But yeah, that's basically it. But so you have to be careful when doing this. With that all being said, let's get into my experiments of the last few weeks. So normally how I would take psychedelics is I would reserve basically a morning where I don't smoke weed, I don't have anything like school or whatever. I just have a day for myself. I wake up early, take a high dose of shrooms or 2CB or combination or whatever, and have a good trip. And then after the trip is over, I'll start smoking weed and have the rest of my day. And in general, this worked pretty well for me, but it also really means that I need a whole day and a day after even to kind of recover, where I don't have anything. And as of now, school has been absolutely crazy. I just don't have a day that is like that, where I can just do a high dose of psychedelics and don't worry about it. So I've been experimenting with mixing low amounts of psychedelics because mainly it is a timing thing. For example, I like to smoke weed at night after I'm done with school. So I kind of wanted to do some psychedelics, but I also wanted to smoke some weed. I also wanted to just chill out and not have an extremely spiritual, a journey every evening or every few evenings. So what I did was I just started taking really low amounts of shrooms and just mixing it with cannabis. And I just started very, very low, actually 50 milligrams of dried shrooms. That was absolutely great. So I worked up to 300 milligrams dried shrooms with weed. That was also really chill. Half a gram, also really nice. So I just kind of build it up over the span of 2 weeks, where I just took increasingly higher doses of shrooms together with my cannabis, and sometimes maybe a little bit 2CB with that, or basically just kind of mixing and matching a little bit of some psychedelics, but at doses where you feel an effect, but it's not you have actual big visuals or anything like that. So, and with weed, obviously it will kind of potentiate it. So I didn't really need too much because of the weed also. And this really kind of opened up a way of doing psychedelics for me where it was much more casual, where I could just be oh, I'm done with school today, smoke some weed, maybe take some shrooms, maybe take a little 2CB. And again, these are very small amounts. So when I say mixing 2CB in it, I'm talking about 5 milligrams, like a quarter of a pill or anything like that. Like, this is not like mixing crazy amounts and tripping out at night. This is more like kind of like, yeah, enhancing the weed high maybe, but also I did have some more mystical insights over the weeks. So it really did trigger, like the amounts were high enough that it did trigger plasticity. It did trigger some realizations about myself, but it was not like as high as that I'm like fully tripping. And because when I'm like fully tripping, I don't want to be smoking weed. I don't want to be watching TV. I don't actually want people around me. I just want to be on my own and listen to music. But yeah, if the vibe is not exactly that, then these mixing of small amounts of psychedelics combined with cannabis was really an amazing thing for me. So for example, I had a really big realization in the last few weeks about myself, and something that I've been suppressing for a long time, like for years now. And I finally just gave into it and just basically I was honest with myself and said, you know what? Fuck what people think of you or whatever, you're just gonna do it. And I was so happy when I made that decision. It was actually insane. It was so cathartic. Even though I wasn't really on like a large amount of psychedelics, just doing it here and there, like every few days, a little bit, it really did kind of like open me up to new options and just being more honest with myself and just living my truth basically. So yeah, the effects, I would say it's just very minor. It's not even full visuals. It's just on the edge of having visuals. Often if I mix a little bit of DXM or a little bit of ketamine or 2FDCK with it, the visuals get a little bit more intense. But again, it's not like I take a lot of that with it. It's just a little extra spice on top basically. And yeah, so the effects were mainly just, I would say, it enhanced just generally my experience, made it a little bit more spiritual. If I didn't take too high amounts, I can also just watch movies, and that was also pretty fun to watch some movies on psychedelics. I didn't really do that before because on high dose of psychedelics I don't like watching at screens, but on small doses with weed it was actually kind of fun. So yeah, this also opened up a lot of more like things to do on psychedelics for me, because these low doses make it much more palatable. And the same thing can be said with like more social situations. So I tried this also with some friends, and normally I wouldn't do psychedelics with friends because I just don't like it when people influence my trip too much, because I just want to trip as I want to trip basically. I don't want to be like having to talk to you because you're there. Like I just want to do exactly what I want when I trip. But again, with these small amounts of psychedelics, it was really nice socially. Like I had this small boost where just everything was much more funny. The conversation was just much more interesting. I was a little bit more honest with my friends. And yeah, it was really nice. And again, this is like not an amount where you're actually like tripping. So it was also just like very manageable. I had almost no anxiety because it was just mild and very palatable, I would say. So yeah, some side effects. I didn't really have much side effects. That was also nice because like normally if you take a high amount of these psychedelics, you can like have a little bit of a brain fry or like have a recovery day after. But with this, it was very minimal side effects, almost none. The only one that I can really think of was the fact that I just can't sleep on some psychedelics, like 2CB, acid. Those are the kinds of psychedelics where I just cannot fall asleep. So with those, I really had to watch out and not do them too late at night. But yeah, so one of the best combinations were, for example, a little bit of shrooms. Obviously, cannabis will be a combination in every one of these, so just like think that in. But yeah, so a little bit of shrooms and 2CB, that's really nice, I think. Some acid and some DXM, so just one tablet of DXM and like 40, 50 UG of acid or something, like not high, but also high enough that you do feel some effects. Another one is shrooms and ketamine. I know that's not officially a psychedelic, but I'm just spouting some combinations that I tried here. Yeah, I haven't tried shrooms and acid together, but that's something that I'll probably try soon. You'll also probably be thinking right now, like, how do you do this without like fucking up your mind or like you going crazy or anything? And the simple answer to that is my mental health is just absolutely amazing right now. And with amazing, I mean not just circumstantially, I mean like fundamentally. Like if something bad happens to me, I now do have the mental strength to not get sucked up in it too much. Or if I have too much like anxiety or anxious thoughts, I'm able to kind of like accept it and let it flow around me. Of course, this doesn't always work, but in general, it is basically impossible for me to get a bad trip because of meditation, because of just me seeing reality mostly for what it is. And that is a kind of a simulation in your head. So if you don't think of reality as something fundamentally true, of course, I believe in like physics and the world, but like your experience of reality is just in your head. So if you can understand that, then psychedelics won't be too scary because you know it's just something that happens inside of your head. I don't believe psychedelics connect you to something spiritual or extra dimensional or alien or whatever. It's just a chemical that works on your synapses and makes your experiences different. And okay, so there's another aspect to this, and that is obviously tolerance. So that was one of the main bottlenecks for these experiments, which is also fine, by the way, but like the tolerance increase with psychedelics and the cross tolerance is almost instant and very, very high. So for example, I did some shrooms like a week long, and then the week after that I tried like a gram of shrooms. It did almost nothing, and that is because just psychedelics give you basically instant tolerance, and it takes about 2 weeks for that tolerance to be decreased to baseline again. And I did not wait 2 weeks between sessions, so my tolerance has been increasing since then, and that is okay. Because I don't think it's good to do this every day. I don't think it's good to do this like too much. Honestly, at the beginning of this period, I was a little bit wary, like, am I gonna fuck up my mood? Am I gonna fuck up like my brain processes? Is this too much? But in the end, I feel amazing. Yes, the tolerance is pretty high, but it also forces me to take a break from time to time, which is nice. And it's also like my mood has been amazing. Like I said, I had some really good realizations about my life that I actually implemented as well. My relationship has been absolutely amazing. Honestly, in general, I feel like it has been really positive. And I can't really think for me personally about a lot of things that I would say are negative about this. Again, this is very personal. Psychedelics will affect everybody else different. There's also people that take these psychedelics and have like a realization about life that's totally negative or gets HPPD or whatever. So I'm not saying this is without risk. I'm not saying this is a good idea for you to try. I'm just saying like these are the experiments that I've been doing in the last few weeks, months, and it has been extremely positive. And I just basically wanted to share this with you, maybe even to just say like if you do it very low dose, like not too much crazy other shit, it can be really positive and it's definitely possible to do. Again, I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not saying this is a good idea. I'm just basically reporting back to you guys of my recent Psychonaut adventures. So yeah, this was the video basically. I do have some tips for you. Tip 1 is just check if you're prone to any of these negative psychedelic things. If you are, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Or if you're too young, don't do it maybe. Maybe start at like 20, 24, 25 when your brain is like more developed. Because I'm 24 now and I really feel like if I had done this when I was 18, it probably would have fucked with me pretty heavily. Also, another tip is really check if your mental health is good. Like if you're not in a good place or you're really like doubting something in your life, maybe this is not really a good moment for you to try this. And also another tip, do low amounts. Like don't get these experiments as in I'm saying like trip every few days. No. I'm saying like take basically just above microdosing levels of psychedelics and you can combine them a little bit to get a little bit more interesting effects. Okay, so yeah, this was the video. I hope you guys liked it. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.